Welcome to the Higher Ed Happy Hour podcast, brought to you by Unincorporated, a higher education agency committed to building awareness and growing enrollment for universities. This podcast provides deans, senior admin, and faculty with the tools, resources, and information they need to grow student interest, design branded content, and launch new programs and courses. Hey everyone, Robert here, and welcome to the Higher Ed Happy Hour podcast. Today, we're talking about how you can align your Google Ads with your customer's journey and how this can help you boost your university's lead generation efforts. Today, we're joined for the very first time by Torr Leonard, an account manager here at Unincorporated, and our resident civics enthusiast. Torr, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. And let's jump right into our discussion. Colleges have been utilizing Google Ads for years now, but we're starting to see Google roll out some new features that can make the medium a lot more useful for stakeholders. Is that right?
Yeah, so Google's always testing out new features for their ad interface. But what we're seeing now is it's gotten to a point where universities can get great value out of the platform without having to spend every minute of their day checking in on how their ads are doing.
Well, that sounds like a plus for colleges and universities. So give us a foundation about how people should really approach Google Ads to have it act as a good lead source.
So to garner the highest quality leads possible on Google Ads, you need to lay the groundwork with three things. First off, you're going to need to map out your customer journey. Second, you're going to need to set up offline conversion tracking, which we'll talk about in a bit here. And third, you need to implement a value-based bidding strategy.
Okay, so that sounds like a lot. So let's take those things, the three things that you mentioned, one by one. First off, can you define what you mean by customer journey?
So any brand needs to map out their lead to sale journey that their prospects go through. You're going to want to identify what the key steps are during that journey by listing out all the touch points that your prospects currently have with your brand. So the list should include actions your prospects take offline as well when interacting with your organization. This could include talking to your admissions team in person, visiting university, things of that nature. You'll want to answer a few crucial questions like, how are we treating the inbound leads during that critical first 7-day period? And you want to determine the approximate percentage of your leads that are converting. And lastly, what's the monetary value of a conversion for you? That's a very important point that we'll be talking about a little bit later on.
All right. So how do those quote unquote offline conversions play into this?
That's a good question. So by importing your offline conversion events into Google Ads, you can measure what happens after someone clicks on one of your ads. This gives you a more comprehensive look at which keywords and targeting criteria are driving the most cost-effective conversions for you.
So I imagine that once you have that level of information, you can actually leverage those value-based bidding strategies that you were mentioning earlier. Is that right?
Yeah, so by assigning values to your conversions, it means you can leverage Google's algorithm to capture the customers that generate the most monetary value for your organization, not just the people who are most likely to make a conversion. And keep in mind, those touch points can go beyond interactions that happen on your website. Your leads are also interacting with you via social channels, paid ads, email marketing, and third-party sites too.
Yeah, so this all sounds well and good, but it can be a lot. And so I'm wondering, can you give us an example of how this might actually play out in a real-world scenario?
Absolutely. So for some advertisers, their ad campaigns are meant to simply build what's called brand awareness. For these brands, where conversions mostly occur in physical places, it's nearly impossible to determine the impact of your marketing efforts without offline conversion tracking. So let's say you work for a university and you're running a Google ad campaign to drive leads to your study program, and you're offering a free ebook. A student might submit the form to download the ebook, and then a few days later they get in touch with your university over the phone or in person. In this case, it's key for the university to track this offline event. Uploading your offline conversions to Google Ads is simple to do since Google offers templates for what format your spreadsheet of conversions need to be in. And so once you've done that, Google can then determine which prospects converted before or after they engaged with your Google Ads. So using this attribution model will give you a more detailed view of which keywords are most successful, which will then help you optimize your campaign.
Wow. this sounds like something that could really make a difference in the success of a digital ad campaign.
Absolutely. If an organization had used a traditional search ad to drive prospects to their online form, but didn't track the offline conversions, they'd have no way of measuring the return on their investment. So by importing those offline conversions and customer data, you can close that data gap.
Definitely. And so what would you say of everything we've talked about today is the biggest takeaway from this conversation?
I'd say that if your business or customers that interact with your brand offline in any way, and you're not tracking offline events, you're really missing out on a data point that will help you properly track the success of your marketing efforts. Every organization should map their customer journey, assign values to your conversions, and get those offline conversions uploaded into Google Ads. When you pair those three things with what Google calls a maximize conversion value bid strategy, you can expect to get far more valuable results than you would with a standard digital ad campaign.
Wow. Well, that was a very informative conversation that we just had. Torr, thanks for being here and sharing your expertise with us.
No problem. It's been a pleasure being on the podcast today.
And I want to say thanks to everybody for listening. You can check out more information about everything we've talked about today on our blog, which you can find on our website, unincorporated.com. And if you have any feedback, please email us at info@unincorporated.com. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Happy Hour podcast. For more higher ed specific resources, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please visit unincorporated.com.